Welcome, everybody, to today's episode of Incubator Weekly. Welcome, Anthony. How's it going?
Going good. How are you?
Good. So we have you on again to talk about the Dash AutoShow integration. We had you on last time, I think about a month ago. And at that time, we were, hang on just a second, making sure we're live. Yeah, I think we are. Yeah, we had you on at the pre-proposal phase. So you were discussing. You had a pre-proposal. I'm going to go ahead and present my screen and share your pre-proposal text. It's a little small, so let me bump up the font here. How's that? Is that better? Yeah. So this was January 29th. You gave a little bit of an introduction to your proposal. We won't go through the text here because there's an updated one that we'll go through kind of line by line. They're very similar. You had some feedback both here and in Discord. I know that at least one person, Sam, mentioned something about wanting to have Dash payments supported for longer term, and I think that you made a text update about that in your proposal itself. So since you have submitted your proposal, I always like to kind of put this on screen just for posterity's sake. The proposal is live. This is what the standings are in the leaderboard right now. We had you put in a proposal a month early, so the proposal was submitted a little over a month ago. And
I see it on there.
Yeah, the way that that's shown on this is that there's this little new chick kind of icon. So that would be Dash Money's doing the same thing. I would like people to kind of get in this habit. I think it's a good thing for the Dash DAO in general to have proposals start as not paying out, giving voters over a month before the proposal is slated to start paying out. I think that's a good approach. So I'm just kind of making that known that I think that that's a good habit for people to get into in general. And so this month it's active. So in 16 days, that will be the first deadline for the actual payout. And I also wanted to mention real quick here that I thought that this was a good approach to put the forum post for the pre-proposal as the URL link. So that way you have two places for people to discuss the proposal. Some people don't necessarily some people prefer the forum, dash.org/forum over Dash Central. But in either case, it's a good way to start a proposal as a pre-proposal on the forum. And then when you put this link as the proposal URL, then they have the two places. So I don't know, there are pros and cons, but I just thought
there wasn't a Dash Central link at all when I first was creating it, because I was creating it through that proposal app that AJ built.
Yep. And I wanted to make mention of that as well. So thanks for mentioning that. So if anybody, again, one of my purposes in Dash and in the incubator right now is to help people make their own proposals. So this is the app that you're talking about that you submitted your proposal through, and it makes it really easy for you to do what we just discussed, where you say, I want this proposal to start either right now in the next proposal cycle. That would be putting a 1 here, and then the number of payments, let's say 3, and then the payout amount, let's say 5 Dash. But if you wanted to push it out a month so that the payment starts a month from in the next payment cycle, you just bump that up to 2. And then now you are submitting a proposal that starts on 4/20 instead of 3/21. That's how this app works. So your particular proposal was 6 months, and I think 80 Dash.
Yep.
So that's how this would be. And what you're saying is the proposal name. There's actually never really a Dash Central link until the proposal is submitted. However,
If people
you,
update them afterwards, I guess.
you can just guess it. So it's based
Oh.
on, yeah, the way that Dash Central does their proposals is they always have this /p/ some unique name. So that's what you would do if you did want to just put your proposal as a Dash Central proposal and only do that. So that's how you would do it. And that's how other proposal tools would do it as well. And then you have your payment address and whatnot. And then you can just pay the application, and then the application forwards it on and makes your proposal. So for anybody that's watching that wants to submit their own proposals, this is a really easy way to do that. All right, getting back to your actual proposal. Here we are at Dash Central, and as you can see, there is the link dashcentral.org/p/AutoShow-integration proposal. But like I said, the benefit of having that forum link is that now you have it. It'll show up here as well. So anyway, let's go through. Anthony, why don't you give us an overview of your proposal, and then I suggest that we go through your proposal text line by line, because I personally think this is an important proposal, and I will discuss why as we go through the text. But why don't you give us an overview?
Yeah. So AutoShow is an app that I'm building, and it's a content creation app that uses transcription and large language model services to basically take audio and video content and turn it into other things, whether it's things like summaries or chapter titles, or things like songs, even social media posts, create images now. That's something I couldn't do last time I was here. And yeah, so it's for content creators or even like teachers. It can be used to generate kind of like learning material or check for comprehension material around different lesson material. And the plan is to, right now it's an open source library, so anyone can use it if they want and look at all the code. But the plan is to make it an app that will be just like kind of a easy drag and drop, click, choose your thing that anyone who's a non-technical user could use so that they could generate their own content. And Dash would be, if this proposal goes through, one of the payment options. So it will be kind of the default crypto payment option if people want to go that route. And then there's the potential to leverage Dash platform for the credit system. And I don't know if you want to get into that too much now, but just a high level on that is it would be a way to track when people are using the app, they are going to buy credits and use the credits to generate show notes. Because depending on what LLMs or transcription services they use, it'll cost different amounts. So the different credits will be used so people can do that. And that could be tracked on like Dash platform, where when people buy credits, then we save their credit amounts. And then when they create show notes, then we deduct those credit amounts. And there would be this kind of, distributed ledger keeping track of all of that.
Yeah.
And
we want to get into a little bit more detail on that later. But yeah, that's a good overview. There are some devils in the details there. And yeah, I'll talk about that later as we go through the proposal text. But yeah, that's a very good overview. As another little preamble to your proposal that I'd like to add, it is a 6-month proposal, and I kind of helped. I recommended somewhat of a longer term proposal for a reason, and obviously you agreed with that, or otherwise you wouldn't have made the proposal. But with Dash platform being live now, but not having any production use cases for it yet, I personally think that we need a partner that we can work with, and that's kind of sympathetic to our cause, and that we're sympathetic to your cause, and we work together to make sure that we have a good system that we can rely on for people who aren't quite as sympathetic to our causes. So like, for example, if somebody that just doesn't really like cryptocurrency but wants to do something in an easy way, people reach for SaaS all the time, software as a service, right? And they do that not because they like Amazon or they like Google. They reach for these
like
things.
that it's easy.
They're easy. They're just easier to work with, and they solve a problem that you have. And you might even hate these companies, right? But you still use them because they solve a problem for you. And that's the same thing with Dash Platform. I would like it to get to the point where it is just an easier way to do things in the web application development scene, but is easier to do than even some of the things that dump millions of VC money into, like a Google Cloud platform or AWS or Azure or something like that. I think we have a long way to go before we can compete on that level. But that is the hope, that people can just follow a few recipes, insert some very small 10 lines of code, and be up and running with storage, payments, authentication, user management, even. So like, we'll talk about the user management that you have planned. But yeah, those are the three main things I like to think of it as. SPA for SPAs, storage, payments, and authentication for simple single page applications. That's the two SPAs. Because any kind of application typically needs those things. At least the ones that we're targeting, right? We're not targeting blog posting particularly, although you could do that on Dash Platform, but things that need more than just content. Things that need storage, persistent, globally accessible storage. That's what Dash Platform is made for. Things that need payments, e-commerce, which is what your project is. It's a digital product, so it's an e-commerce product. And everything that does need those things typically needs authentication, because you're not going to be able to access any kind of user data without knowing who the user is and knowing what those users are allowed to do in your application. So storage, payments, and authentication. We need somebody like you on a long-term basis, 6 months in this case, to be able to help us refine our tools and libraries and documentation and just overall developer experience to be able to use Dash Platform, so that in the future we can target the audience that might not really even care about cryptocurrency, might begrudgingly use it, but they think, yeah, this is a very simple way to do storage, payments, and authentication. So that's my preamble again. Now let's go through the actual body of your proposal here, and we'll talk more about the details as we come to them. So AutoShow, you gave the description, so we won't go over that again, but I did want to just show briefly the source code that is linked from this link right here. Here you are on GitHub. Like you said, it's an open source project, but parts of it will be closed source. Do you want to tell us about like what's open source and what's closed source, what's public, what's private?
So basically the back end will be open source, and the repo right now, it does have a front end. It's a very simple little Astro app, and that'll probably stay there if people do want to like spin up a quick front end for themselves if they're running this locally. But the app that'll actually be like the official AutoShow app that people will be using for payments and all that, that'll be closed source. And that's going to be just kind of what's interfacing with the deployed version of the open source repo, basically. So someone could, if they wanted to, kind of host their own version of the backend, but they wouldn't be able to just like wholesale clone the front end. So I think that's kind of a good compromise in keeping the project mostly open source while still trying to have like some sort of, secret sauce or differentiator that allows the app to be, something that people want to actually pay money to use.
Okay, and so when you're saying this site that I'm at right here, for example, the web SRC pages, this is a front end application, but this isn't the app. You would basically create a bigger, better version of this simple front end, and have that closed source, and that's the paid product essentially. Is that right? Or
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
okay. Okay. Do you have is this sample front end web user interface hosted somewhere right now that we can see, or not yet?
It is not. We looked at it last time. Like we ran through the example using this. So
Okay.
yeah, it's not hosted right now. Actually, now I'm at the point now where actually I could start hosting it, because the main thing was the if you just like have it up, then people like you can just hit it. But I set it up so the OpenAI's API keys and stuff are not like actually in my backend. So you need to send a request with an OpenAI key. So I actually probably should actually just deploy it now, because that's pretty much, someone could technically use it if they want to. They would just have to bring their own LLM keys.
Yeah. Okay. Let's at least get on the screen your extensive documentation here. Do you want to talk about anything here that is in
Yeah, I
your
added a new section here where it lists all the different stuff that you can kind of create with the prompts. So there's a lot more prompts now than when I first started doing this. Probably even a couple since the last time we met. But let me get on here myself. So it's kind of in 4 categories. So have summaries and chapters. Actually, you scroll back up to the prompts real quick, a little further. Yeah, where it lists all those right there. Yeah, so summaries and chapters. So summaries like your whole transcript, chapter descriptions. You get like a bullet point summary instead of like a prose summary. And then chapter titles with timestamps, which could be useful for YouTube videos. It automatically creates like the links to the chapters. And then social media posts. So if you want to like blast something out to your X, your Facebook, and your LinkedIn, you can get something different for each of those that's kind of tailored to their different kind of, people tend to create content differently on different apps. And then things like songs. So rap song, rock song, country song. And then educational and informative content. So key takeaways, comprehension questions, FAQs, curated quotes, and blog outlines. Draft.
Yeah, this section seems like it has a lot of potential. So you're an entrepreneur. You're basically, you've got a product. People have told you were basically building this as kind of like a passion thing. You're really into AI, and then as you were talking to people, they were like, "Hey, I'd pay for this," And so that's why you're making it into a product. Who knows how successful it is going to be? But this does seem like it has some legs. Like if you can tap into some kind of educational content that people are willing to pay for, that does seem like it would be an interesting thing beyond just YouTube chapter titles and things like that. But yeah, so there's other key features. People can set this up on their own. It sets, this is your CLI. I'm assuming this is AutoShow, AS.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's lots of different ways that people can use this already right now as an open source CLI tool. Then we talked about the project structure. You're using Prisma. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so that's to interface with the Postgres database. So when people create a show note, there is front matter metadata that's created based on, like if you use a YouTube link, it can automatically grab things like the title and the date, and like if you have a cover image for it, grabs all of that, and then it will save the prompt you used to generate the show notes. Because if you can pick different prompts and mix and match them, and it will save the transcript, and then it will save the actual LLM output you get. And so all that stuff is saved in the database, and Prisma is for migrations and easy kind of database client work.
So as a user, I can not only use the tool, but I can get back to the history of the outputs and stuff that's going to be stored on your service and persisted, so that users can have that as they can keep a history of those prompts.
Yeah, like how every time you have a conversation with ChatGPT, it creates a thing on your sidebar on the left with a running total of all your conversations.
Yep. Okay, we got some more process commands and process steps. Feel free to just talk about any of this if you'd like. We'll get to the body of your proposal, because I'm sure that the Dash people will probably want to know a little bit more about what they're getting for the proposal funds itself. We'll get there, but I just
we just hit on real quick the different services. So for transcription, if you want to do this locally, you can use Whisper, and then transcription is free. For the app, it'll be Assembly and Deepgram will be the two you can choose from. They are just transcription services that offer an API and things like speaker labels and some of the higher level things that you wouldn't get from Whisper. And then for the LLMs, if you want to run it locally, you can use Ollama for any kind of local model. And then the third-party integrations, there's ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, DeepSeek, which is the new hotness, and then Fireworks and Together, which host various open source models like Llama.
Okay. Anything to say about the utility files?
There's one for Dash now. So
yeah.
I kind of want to see what it would be like to just try and integrate the whole thing with platform. So I just have it now save your show notes in a data document, or a document with a data contract.
Oh, very cool. Okay, so not only we had talked before, and we'll talk more about this later, but not only will you be experimenting with putting people's account credits on Dash platform, but also the documents and the output of the LLMs themselves, right?
Yeah, I was kind of just curious to see if I could what it would be like to do it. The only issue with that really is that if people are uploading their own files from their own computer, they could be uploading anything, and I don't know if you wouldn't want their transcripts to be public by default. So
yeah.
There may be other things that would be worthwhile to have it save onto platform. If you want to you could have it saved in some sort of IPF system that has some sort of Git authentic. There's ways to do this in a decentralized way that also keeps things private. I don't think you could just do that with Dash platform itself, right?
Yeah, I think you'd have to encrypt it before you put it on Dash platform, and then have them decrypt it client side to be able to view their material. Something like that would be possible. But there, as you were talking about that, I was thinking there are kind of two angles to this. The value proposition for Dash platform, on one hand, users might demand something like this if they really needed to have the assurances that their data is accessible even without the application, for example, or needing permission from the application developer. That might be something that's a user-driven demand for specific kinds of applications. But I think the bigger value proposition that I see is trying to make things easier for developers. So user-driven value proposition versus developer-driven value proposition. You're going to go through the whole process of setting up your databases and have a backend service and everything. But like I said, it would be, if Dash platform were proven to be more stable and performant and easy to use, and we were all we had gotten all the way through all that already, it would be potentially easier to do a lot of this stuff without having to, for the developer themselves, not necessarily for the user, but for the developer to have these kinds of services at their fingertips for storage, payments, and authentication. So just wanted to mention that one more time. But you're experimenting with this in a, like, you're doing both essentially. Like, you're not going to rely on this, but as part of the proposal, you do want to help us to have the developer experience get fine-tuned a little bit more. Anything else to say about any of this stuff? There's a lot here.
Astro that's the Astro front end, but yeah, that's probably enough on that.
Okay, now let's go back to the proposal, and we talked about the summary. Why vote yes? Supporting this proposal integrates Dash into an expanding AI platform for creators and businesses, increasing its visibility, offers user incentives and valuable monthly feedback, and drives long-term growth through an ongoing development and marketing. So yeah, I have something else to say about this as well. Like, this is not just, people in Dash would not just be paying for us to be on another service and have a technical integration. It's also about marketing to developers, the developers that and that you will be presenting and presenting your product to. Like, there are a lot of developers that will be looking into what you're building, and it will be marketing to them to see that, hey, here's a cryptocurrency that I might hate. I may hate cryptocurrency, but look at what they're doing. They're actually providing a service, and they're actually doing something valuable, not just it's not just gambling and meme coins and stuff like that. Here's an actual tangible, valuable thing that they're building, and you'll be able to show that to lots of different developers as you're building this. So I think that's a very interesting value proposition here. Okay, so how it works, we went over that a little bit as well. The Dash integration goals. So the key objectives: actionable feedback for the Dash community, provide insights on crypto payment flows, user experience, and ways to improve Dash development tools. Yeah, so that's something that I find valuable. And like I said, in my preamble, I think that that's something that we need for a long term. The sooner that we can get an actual in production use case for Dash platform, and be able to say, hey, Dash platform has been serving this customer for 6 months or 3 months, the sooner we can get that, the better we'll be able to market our product with. But yeah, we need to pay for that before we can expect anybody to be doing this on their own dime and for free, and just because it's just a good tool for them to use. Accepting Dash as a payment. That's obviously an important part of this. Lets users buy AutoShow credits with Dash at a discounted rate. I have some things to say about this, but why don't you talk about this for a little bit, and then I'll add to that.
Yeah, this is one of the things that could both incentivize users to pay with Dash, even if they have never used Dash before, but they may want to save a little bit, especially if they're going to be generating a lot of show notes. And it would be kind of a then thing for Dash to be more inclined to want to fund the project, because they'll hopefully be getting some people actually paying with it. And and also, if using Dash, you don't get things like credit card fees, so you can actually make it where it's more better margins, allowing for the discount.
Yeah, and beyond that, it's user acquisition, right? So there are a lot of people that have not even touched Dash, don't know anything about it, but if they saw your service, and let's just make up some numbers real quick, or maybe you can give me some prices to deal with. So how much do you think you'll be charging, or do you have any idea of that yet?
Yeah, so I think what was it that I was thinking? So it would be like $10 for 100 credits, and then generating a show note depending on the length and what you're using would be, anywhere from like 50 to 100 credits. So people would be spending um probably like, so that'd be like $10 to get the 1,000 credits, and then like a dollar or so per like show note. It's maybe a little less, they're shorter, or a little more if they're longer, because the transcription cost is one of the biggest drivers of how many credits it'll be.
Okay, yeah, and I don't want you to have to narrow down your prices at this point, but let's just say for a video that's about an hour long and they want chapter titles and all the bells and whistles to share that on their platforms or whatever, summaries. Let's just say that it's $1 or something, 50
Yeah.
cents. If they could then get that same thing, instead of getting 1,000 credits for $10, if they could get that same 1,000 credits for $5, a steep 50% discount. I kind of wonder, just from a business and marketing and user acquisition standpoint, that's not technical at all, but from a business standpoint, like how many users could we acquire by giving a 50% discount? How many users could we acquire by giving a 10% discount? How many users could we get by even a deeper discount? Like, I'm just kind of curious about that. Because if it's a discount, a 50% discount that brings their price down from $10 to $5, and that's what makes them decide to go through the whole process of like, okay, looking into cryptocurrency and downloading a wallet, buying some crypto, buying some Dash on Coinbase. Like, I don't necessarily expect them to do that for a $5 discount, but there is probably some number that they would do it for. And depending on how much they used your service, I don't know what that is. But when you look at other companies that try to basically pay to acquire users, they're spending a lot more than that. So I would be interested to see what kind of users you can acquire for a steep discount like that. And I don't know if that's like part of the funds go to pay for that discount. Is that what you're suggesting here, or proposing here? Is that part of the proposal funds would be to kind of help subsidize what's the term for that? The loss leader of giving people discounts beyond the cost of your service?
I mean, it would probably depend on how, as you were saying, how big of a discount to give. I wasn't planning on it. The plan was just to use that money as, funds for myself as payment. And then I would have the discount be something that wouldn't necessarily mean that it's that's such that it requires me to actually take a loss on it, because I've got margins worked out, so there may I won't necessarily need to.
Yeah. And these are all things that we'll be discussing and kind of like fine tuning, I think, through the process. But that was just one idea that I had. Promoting Dash on the AutoShow front page. There again, strictly marketing essentially, which is valuable. Dash is the default crypto. Discount credits for Dash focused content. So there you would be actually giving, for the Dash community at least, you'd be giving steeper discounts. And I think that would be interesting, because people want, you could give it to the Dash community for free, obviously, because they're giving you they're paying part of your development costs, and you could just throw that in. But I think it would be even more interesting if people still had to go through that payment flow just to get the experience, whether it's a 90% discount for like say for example, Dash Incubator or Dash Core Group. Like that's not going to be any very big amount to pay, but it's getting that experience of going through the process of paying that would be valuable for us. Support for Dash payments will continue indefinitely beyond the 6 months funding phase.
Yeah, that was something someone mentioned in the comments. They were saying people have, drop support as soon as their thing ends. But I definitely continue to support it. I see no reason why I would take it out at any point, even if no one's really, even if no one ends up using it, then it's like it won't be that much of there's really no maintenance burden for it being there because hopefully the blockchain does not change.
Well, there would be some small amount because depending on how we structure this technically, like I don't know if you're going to be running your own full node. I don't know if you're going to be using a third-party service or an open source service that's like using rpc.digitalcash.dev, for example, and you're just doing API calls, and that service is already subsidized by the DAO elsewhere with one of AJ's proposals. Like we haven't worked out these details, but there is a scenario where, if you were running a node, for example, that would be a cost. And if you weren't getting any paying customers, then that would be a little bit of a loss. So I think that is.
What would be the benefit of running a node versus just querying the blockchain?
Yeah, exactly. Querying the blockchain using, like, what would you use, for example, to query the blockchain?
Right now, it's just the JS SDK running on a node server.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so there are some things to work out, like which is the best, what's the best way to do that. So the JS SDK is going to give you certain things, but it's not going to give you other things. Like it will give you the account balances for an address or whatever that you put in there, and that's fine. But it wouldn't, for example, give you. It wouldn't necessarily give you, what's the term that I'm looking for? The payload that is sent from a service. I'm blanking on the name right now, but like when a payment is made, like when a user makes a payment and then a service sends you a notification that payment has been done. Like you can do that in a very difficult way, or you can do that in a very simple way. And the payment gateways of the world that are like RPC services, they will help you along with that. So, but I don't know what we have in terms of that. So like doing notifications that a payment has come through. Like, anyway, I think if I remember the name, I'll be able to explain that a little bit further. But so let's go through what this proposal funds. Dash placement and promotion. We've gone over that a little bit already. Prominent Dash branding on AutoShow's homepage and documentation. Discount rates for those paying with Dash. Default crypto payments. Option set to Dash and credit. So that's a little bit of a review there. Dash integration and development. Building and maintaining a pay with Dash flow with an emphasis on instant send. Implementing real-time transaction detection and automatic credit allocation. That's what I was talking about just then. Like you can probably implement that with the SDK, but it might be a lot of work. And this would pay for that lot of work, or potentially we could find a service to do that for lesser work. Continuous upkeep and troubleshooting for the Dash module over the 6 months. Create a credit system on Dash platform. We did talk about that a little bit. Community reporting, regular progress reports on user feedback, transaction data, adoption metrics. Talk to me a little bit about that. That seems interesting to me.
Yeah, so that would be just essentially what is the usage, and are people having issues with using Dash with the platform, and then kind of how many transactions are coming in, what amount of users are using Dash versus other things. So, and then maybe like if we end up tweaking the discount at some point, how much of a difference that would make.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, cool. Collaboration with Dash Growth, the incubator, Dash Core Group for best practices. Makes sense. Sharing code snippets and developer documentation to help future integrations. Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Okay, let's look at the timeline. So right now it's the beginning of March. So Dash payment flow implementation, that's what you'd work on first.
Mhm.
Develop and launch the Pay with Dash feature for credit purchases. Integrate a Dash discount mechanism to ensure smooth user experience. Yeah, this smooth user experience is something that I've very rarely come across in crypto. What you usually find is that you'll have like everything that's needed for a credit card payment, and then like so you like people will have to enter like your name and your billing address
Yeah.
and all that stuff just to get to the point where you don't really even need that. But the way that websites are usually set up is they're set up for that credit card payment flow, and so you kind of have to go through
Mhm.
that even if you're going to not need that information to do a crypto payment. And that's how like things like I've run into that a lot with in the earlier days with like BitPay, where I see a website that accepts crypto, but you still have to go through that nightmare of like filling out this huge form about who you are, and uh,
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing that I want us to dial in and just say like, hey, you want to purchase these credits? Bam, here's a QR code payment. Um, Send this amount, and you'll get these credits, and they'll automatically show up, and you don't have to fill out anything. So
Yeah, totally. That's how the proposal app works. You had the QR code on there. Once you're ready to send your proposal, you just
yep.
get the QR code and pay it straight through that. So yeah, I'd probably do it exactly like that.
Yep. Cool. Let's see, where were we? Months 3 to 4, Dash themed incentives and tutorials. This is what you're famous for, is making really good tutorials and sharing those throughout your developer community. So I'm very excited to see that. That would be really cool. Yeah. When do you want to talk about some of these other things?
Yeah, I mean, for people who are actually in the Dash ecosystem, it says discounts here, but probably what I'd also do is I can just create like a promo code so people could use that and share that in, like the Dash Discord. So if someone wanted to get like a couple hundred free credits, just like try the platform out, that could be a good thing as well.
Yeah.
So
And that's what I was thinking with the instead of totally free, just like a very steep discount, even 99%, because I still want people to go through that payment flow just so they can get that experience.
mhm,
And that's something we all need. Like if we really think that crypto is going to be something that people use on a real, in a real daily basis kind of way,
mhm,
we need to get them we need to get that user experience dialed in. Like, what's the best
mhm,
way to pay? Is it expecting users to have a web wallet or a wallet extension, an extension wallet, uh,
mhm,
browser extension wallet, or is it better for that to present a QR code for them to pay from their mobile device, or is it better to have some kind of URL that they click and it opens up your desktop wallet? Like there are different ways that you can pay with crypto, and maybe it's supporting all of those or 2 out of the 3 of those or whatever. But it's getting that user experience dialed in, and then that's why I think instead of just offering free credits, it would be better to have a 99% discount on credits so that we take them through that process, even the Dash community. And, it's not going to be the main hurdle there won't be the cost of the service. It'll be the user experience of the service. And so having them go through that will help us develop a better user experience. Let's see, roll out user-friendly documentation and video tutorials on Dash using Dash and AutoShow. That'd be cool. And then, like we said earlier, stats, usage trends, key insights. Like, hey, we ran this for 2 months with a 10% discount or a 5% discount that just covered the savings that you'd get from the credit card fees instead. And that bumped up our Dash user base from 3 users to 6 users. I don't know. But then we implemented a 50% discount and subsidized that. And all of a sudden we got 10 users over the next month that paid with Dash. And, that's an insight that would help us to know, like, how much did we have to pay to acquire a completely new Dash user. That's the kind of thing that I hope that this will result in as well. So it's much more than just technical integration work. It's also business insights and marketing insights. Like, how much do we have to pay people to get over their fear or hatred of cryptocurrency, just so that they can have a discount or a better user experience.
If it's a 99% discount, probably a lot.
Yeah, exactly. But a 99% discount on a $10 service, that's still a very low user acquisition fee. So that would be
right.
worth
But the amount of money people will be paying will be dependent on how much they want to use it. So if someone wanted to, run their whole YouTube channel, they have hundreds of videos, that would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, and I don't have any kind of grandiose visions. It's no offense to you, obviously, but entrepreneurship is hard and startups are hard. So I don't really expect explosive growth here, but I do want to use this project as a way to determine, like, what kind of user experience and developer experience and price points and discounts do we need to attract people. And yeah, like I said, like I hope that this is a great thing that actually makes you some money, but there's a chance that it's not. But even if it's not, we would have learned some things that we would not have learned otherwise through this whole process and this proposal. So that's what I'm kind of excited about here. Let's see, continue coordinating with the Dash ecosystem teams to share insights, code recommendations, improvements, and then a final report that sums up the whole experience after 6 months, blockers, things like that. Yeah, you'll have personal support for any of this. Yeah, I think we covered it. You've got some good feedback so far on here.
Yeah, some people seem excited about it.
Yeah, name 3, absolutely yes. This is exciting. Exactly the type of thing that we should be building. Fantastic use case. We talked about how there is the CLI, but there's a UI in development. Here's the Quantum Explorer's comment about, let's have this available for 5 years, 10 years. You made it indefinite Dash support, so that's great.
Infinity
is better than 5. Yep. Demo's got his comments. He's everywhere.
I was like, this is some deep Dash lore that I don't understand, so I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, he has some really good comments sometimes, and other times it's kind of like, I don't know where he's coming from, but
What is DIF? That's my only question.
DIF is the Dash Investment Fund or Dash Investment Foundation. It's a place that you would go to if you wanted to do this at a bigger scale and exchange equity for funding. So yeah,
I know about like the
doesn't do
Ethereum
that.
Foundation and stuff, so that makes sense.
Yep, exactly. Let's see. Lysergic, good. Quizzy. Yeah. So all these questions are answered. Anything else to say? What else did you want to talk about in terms of this proposal, or just anything in the Dash community that you are seeing right now? What else did you have to say?
Well, you would show this to me that someone in the community has been creating like Dash rap songs.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool, and that is something that you could definitely use AutoShow for. Like we could turn every Incubator weekly episode into various types of songs. That would be a very easy thing to do. So you can do it with this one.
Yeah, or you could just take sometimes people will be away for 5 months or something, and or a week even, and there's a bunch of Discord comments. Maybe there'd be a way to like import some data
Summarize
from
this last
Discord and
week.
summarize the
Discord,
key points. Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's totally doable. Yeah.
There's all sorts of options when you've got the infrastructure in place. So I think, 50 minutes, we've gone long enough. So unless you have anything else, let's close it out.
Yeah, okay, that's good. Yeah.
And we'll say thanks for everybody for taking a look at the proposal. Personally, it's important for me.
AJC Web Dev on the Discord if you want to message me, or if you have questions, or if you want to comment on the proposal, go for it.
Okay. Thanks, Anthony. And we'll talk later. Bye.
Bye.